Hello, and welcome to another 3-Minute Game Pass. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tip this Game Pass game is worth your time and bandwidth. Today's game is Nobody Saves the World. When times get tough, who are you gonna call? Iron Man? Hulk? Or maybe a fire-breathing, zombie-summoning, buffed-up turtle? Go for the turtle, man. Trust me. Nobody Saves the World is an Xbox and PC cross-release that also features cross-achievements and cross-play. Pretty great. It's upgraded for the Series S and X for improved frame rates, and the game lasts about 13 to 17 hours. It took me 17 hours to 100% it. So what exactly is Nobody Saves the World? Well, it's a 2D open-world RPG with dungeon crawling, class mixing, and enough quests and XP bars to fill a mansion. You play as Nobody, a person without pants who stumbles upon the wand of a great wizard. This allows Nobody to transform into a host of different forms, ranging from archers to rats to zombies to even a dragon. With the world under threat, it's up to you to mix and match animals like a deranged zoologist to fight back against the darkness. The general loop of the game is fairly simple. Traverse the world map, which is full of minor quests you can do along the way, enter a plethora of optional dungeons until eventually you unlock one of 6 dungeons that contains the MacGuffin needed to save the world. The main gimmick is the ability to swap forms on the fly. Each form has its own unique passive and core attack, as well as 2 unlockable special abilities that usually cost mana. However, things really get good shortly after beating the first main dungeon, as you unlock the ability to swap around abilities and passives for each form you've collected. You can add up to 3 more passives and abilities from other creatures. Want a fire-breathing horse? How about a marathon sprinter zombie? Or maybe a magician who summons demons instead of rabbits from his hat? The sky's the limit, and it's up to you to find synergies. You'll need to too because of the warding system. There are 4 basic attacks in the game: blunt, sharp, dark, and light, and some enemies can't be damaged until they're hit with one of the 4 types, which means creating a character that can exploit all, or needed for the dungeon, weaknesses becomes a game in and of itself. In order to gain more classes and abilities, as well as level up your base character, you'll be doing tons of mini quests. These often include using abilities with a specific class. For example, as the rat, you might poison X number of enemies for a quest, and they reward you with both class points and basic XP. Get enough points in a character, and you'll unlock the next one up the tree, lather, rinse, repeat. So Nobody Saves the World is an open world combat and exploration game with a heavy emphasis on creativity and building the weirdest synergies possible. So what do I like about Nobody Saves the World? Well, the build your own class system is frankly genius, and it works incredibly well. And since every skill can be upgraded, it's incredibly addicting to try and find the best combo that can break any particular dungeon. The quests are also genius and extremely well designed, with later ones subtly encouraging synergies you might not have noticed as a way of tutorializing without tutorializing. You always have something new and exciting to try and a class to upgrade. And lastly, I really enjoyed this game's goofy visual style and lighthearted, funny story. It was incredibly charming throughout and fit the game really well. When it comes to the bad, this game's difficulty is kind of all over the place. The second plot dungeon I tried was obscenely hard, while all the others I just cruised through. The game tries to balance itself on level scaling certain areas, but the classes are also so incredibly imbalanced. I assume they just gave up on having a tight difficulty and just gave you a game that you're supposed to figure out how to break. The game also does get a bit grindy and samey. Even though grinding wasn't nearly as bad as some other games, there were times I felt like I'd have to run a dungeon several times in order to finish a certain quest, and the game really doesn't have anything aside from combat when it comes to that. No puzzles or whatever, so that does get a little tedious. And lastly, it does gate some of the best stuff until later in the game. Class mixing isn't until after the first dungeon, and some of the more interesting classes are gated until you beat the first half of the game. It makes me worried that people aren't going to last that long. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, don't bother. Nobody Saves the World is absolutely a must play. It is fantastic, as evidenced by the fact that I played it for 3 days straight and got 100% and S-ranked all the classes. I loved this game. It has a great mix of numbers go up to appease my Neanderthal brain and figure out the most broken synergies ever to appeal to my min-maxer brain. Plus, you can play the entire game in co-op to break it even further, which I would highly suggest. Absolutely one of the best games I've played in a while, and I cannot recommend it enough. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and go out there and enjoy the hell out of Nobody Saves the World.